Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. So it's been like 4 years since I posted my 2-hour long Barbie video, and for some reason that one is pretty much the biggest thing on my channel. I truly am a one-hit wonder when it comes to the videos that I create. Lately, editing doing videos has also been quite tedious and hard, so I was thinking, why not just do a kind of a follow-up video on Barbie movies. Obviously, in 2 weeks, the Barbie movie of the year is gonna come out, so this is also just part of me hyping myself up for that movie. So, to be honest, I haven't watched a lot of Barbie movies since that video because I got busy with school. I upgraded my gear, so DVDs got kind of like onto the background. My DVD collection went to my parents' home. While I did have Netflix for a while, I also decided to not pay for it. But recently I got Netflix again, so thought it was a good moment to kind of watch everything that I want to watch and cancel as soon as possible. I did rewatch my previous 2-hour video to make sure that I kind of agree with everything that's being said in that video. And my opinions still stand about the majority of the movies. I pretty much already forgot a lot about movies that I already didn't really like. It drags a lot, but I feel like I really wanted to make sure that I said something about every single movie that I watched. So overall, a few minutes per movie, it just results into a 2-hour movie. So I thank everyone that ended up watching that movie. A lot of my subscriber base is probably subscribed because of that video. So I hope this video also satisfies you, because I do see the comments asking about opinions about the newer movies. After that, I did post a Life in the Dream House video that I unlisted because I think it was very unhinged, very chaotic. I decided to just put it on public again because everyone needs to know about Life in the Dream House. So even though I don't think that video is very good, I still put in a lot of effort in that video. But I mean, the summary is Life in the Dream House is great, go watch it. I don't tend to have strong opinions, but Life in the Dream House, greatest thing Barbie ever did. So disclaimers again, like I said, everything is subjective. My favorite movie might not be yours. Your favorite movie might not be mine. I really went into this not comparing this to the older Barbie movies. I feel like that's kind of like a long gone era, and also not fair to the current era of movies. And again, I don't really involve myself into the Barbie movie / Barbie fandom. I occasionally watch videos about the dolls, but I really don't know what the fandom thinks about these movies. I do at least want to just like make this kind of a chatty video, easy to edit, just for fun's sake. What I'm gonna try to do is just have a summary of my opinions, my favorite moments. I'm not gonna stay spoiler free. Another video that I just randomly watched some time ago is from Darling Dolls about Barbie core and Barbie as a brand, not even being that about that anymore. And that's pretty much also just kind of a summary about this era of Barbie movies. Alright, so a little bit of context is that Barbie is a vlogger now. For the last few years she has been uploading vlogs, mainly with motion capture I think, but that pretty much also goes into the Dreamhouse Adventures series that they have on Netflix. Ken is friend-zoned AF. And of course her sisters make an appearance. Alright, but I can also talk about this when I bring up the first movie that I watched from the new selection, or at least since Dolphin Magic. So that was Princess Adventure. And I must say overall, this movie was very entertaining. So Barbie in the Princess Adventure is pretty much about Barbie as a vlogger doing her daily teenager stuff. But there's also this princess who really is restricted in anything that she is doing because she's a princess, she's an influencer. So this is kind of the typical Barbie swap movies where they switch places. We already saw this concept in Princess and the Pauper and Princess and the Popstar. Rock and Royals, that was just a mix-up. But yeah, so they decide to switch places, kind of like the Princess Switch. I still haven't watched the Princess Switch since I mentioned it in the last video, but I've seen enough movie commentary videos to know what it's about and whether I want to watch it, which is not. So my first thing that kind of threw me off was Barbie's voice. Obviously they entered this whole Barbie vlogging thing, and Barbie is then voiced by America Young, and Amelia is actually voiced by Erica Lindbeck, who was Barbie in the fewer of the newer movies. So I don't know if this was kind of a cameo or a send-off for Erica, because America Young does the voice for the other upcoming movies, but it was just something to get used to. But I mean, because you're still watching a Barbie character, it was pretty easy to kind of get adjusted, especially since I watched these movies 2 times, with the exception of the last one. Like I said in the previous movies, I don't really like when they do the modern dancing parts. I can tolerate it in Rocker Royals, but this was kind of threw me off as well. I think I'm starting to embrace it because it's just the way that they animate the characters. I'm just going down my notes because I didn't really put them in order, and I usually don't take notes while watching a movie, but I feel like I just kind of had to for this video. I didn't know about Tammy at first because Tammy is a Dreamhouse Adventures character, so I was very convinced that it was Raquel. They kind of had the same vibe. When she says the quote from, oh, it's like no one wants me in this movie, that I feel like that's such a Raquel thing to do, but I guess for a reason they made it into a new character named Tammy. So Barbie gets this opportunity to collab or to post her video to this kind of like an influencer, viral video marketer company. And I was a little thrown off. It's a good villain, I guess, nowadays, the companies. It reminds me of the Vi and all those multi-channel networks. But there is definitely something exploitative. She says it herself, to exploit. I think it was implied that Barbie is underage. So I feel like this is kind of like a very legal, problematic way to walk. But I mean, the company was pretty much implied to be evil. But anyways, I don't like the dogs. Why are they still puppies? I mean, they are cutely designed, but Puppy Chase really threw me off from dogs in Barbie movies. But I feel like anything dancing dogs, you remember from the last video, I can't stand it. So I got a very strong Disney Channel vibes from the songs. They are very catchy and I do like them. I definitely like the Picture Perfect Girl / not a Picture Perfect Girl. And I'll talk a little bit later about the music later on. The fashion really sucks. They look 5. There is a literal coronation for a queen, but yet Princess Amalia wears a love, love, love t-shirt. I've been a Taylor Swift fan since when Taylor Swift plastered love, love, love everywhere. But this was not a good look. And I just think the stuff they wore all just kind of looked very childish. I know this is a childish movie, childish franchise, this media especially. But we've seen Barbie make prettier clothes for their animated characters. I think it was kind of suspicious or just like badly written that Barbie and Amelia were so separated. You have this whole friends group surrounding Princess Amelia. Like, of course, we know it's Barbie, but Barbie was also invited for this trip, so why isn't she also with the group? You have Barbie, who is Princess Amelia, just kind of wandering off to the city without her group. Everything was alright until the horse physics happened. I am also not very fan when they do that, but okay, let this slide. I wrote down a lot of negative comments. I'm gonna emphasize that I kind of... and this was like a very entertaining movie. It was one of those a little bad, that it's good movies. I enjoyed the typical Barbie quirkiness, let's just say that. I was wondering if Amelia was just gonna stay away from the kingdom to kind of chase her freedom and let Barbie just do all this stuff. You know, of course, we're gonna have a happy ending. But it was just like a very enjoyable plotline. It kind of cringed that at the end, everything Amelia wanted was to have a vlog. It's kind of the circle jerk around asking children what they want to be when they grow up, and they say to be a vlogger or a YouTuber. I get these vibes from the ending, let's just say that. And the last comment I wrote down was that just about the music, the songs are by Math Club, which is just kind of a big company that produces a lot of music for a lot of movies and series. And the songs are written by Matthew Tischler and Andrew Underberg. They pretty much come in a pair, but Matthew especially has done a lot of music for Disney Channel. I wrote down Jojo Siwa, and they do K-pop stuff now. So my connection making skills, thinking that it's kind of Disney Channel music, was correct. But I think there's this obvious theme of encouragement, but also just the things that are happening on the screen, because that's kind of originally like the Disney Channel vibe, right? But I think the music is okay. It's not something I would put on the aux, but I will secretly download it and listen to it while I walk across the streets, pretending to have the world in my hands, I guess. So I must say Princess Adventure was a pretty good start to kind of also introduce me to kind of the dream house vibe that they're doing now. Everything looks also very smooth. I do have my gripes with the movie, but overall it's one of those fun Barbie movies that, as I kind of watched the movies, I did become very desensitized to all the dialogue and the messages and everything that's happening on the screen. So I watched Princess Adventure, Lost Birthday, Big City, Big Dreams, and Mermaid Power twice. The first time was just kind of like to get the vibe. The second time I really wanted to make notes and kind of really follow the story, just to give these movies a fair chance. So then we have Chelsea's Lost Birthday. The movie already kind of lost me at the line of that they're on an eco-friendly cruise ship. You know, I care about the environment, but I also know that it's a very depressing topic. But I feel like some things are just inherently not eco-friendly. Whether that's okay, I'm not gonna discuss that now, but I don't think the concept of an eco-friendly cruise ship really works, especially if you see how big that thing is and how much happens on the cruise ship. But again, that's just the very doomer in me. It was also only one line, so I tried to move on. But I had a hard time paying attention to this movie because, of course, it's very Chelsea's story. And while I really like the sisters, I don't really care when they do their own stuff. Chelsea also has the whole Dreamtopia thing. Like, these movies are already aimed for children, but I feel like this one is even younger, for younger children. So Chelsea's Lost Birthday is about pretty much Chelsea losing her birthday. For young children, birthdays are pretty important. But because they're on a cruise, they cross this international date line, which means they pretty much skip a day. I think that's a really smart plot point. I really like that. But of course, Chelsea is very sad about this because she was really looking forward to her birthday. So to solve this, there is this kind of a wish granting thing on this island. So obviously Chelsea goes on this adventure to kind of make a wish, and she makes friends along the way, which are pretty much animals based on her plush animals, with names obviously mirroring her sisters. So you have Darby for Barbie, and the other names that I'm gonna put here because I didn't note them down. But the first time I heard Darby, I couldn't stop thinking about the Barbie episode from Life in the Dream House. Typical movie of the journey is about the friends we meet along the way. I had a hard time paying attention for this one. The song, I wrote down New Day is Fun. I don't know if that's the actual title. Obviously last year or this year we had Puss in Boots, The Last Wish. This kind of follows a similar format of kind of finding a traveling group, going to the wishing thing to make one wish. Everyone has a different goal. I hope Disney's wish this year is gonna be good. DreamWorks really worked them into a corner, so I'm curious. There is a post-credit scene in this movie. It's not very important. Netflix will probably already kicked you out by then. It was cute, I guess, for those. I kind of scrolled through the credits to see anything special. So then we have Big City, Big Dreams, which is probably the gayest one of them. In this movie, Barbie meets another girl called Barbie Roberts, and they become the bestest of bestest friends. So that's like pretty much the only opinion that I see from the Barbie community, is that these two Barbies, perfect pair. So the plot is that Barbie goes to this theater school in New York, and that's where she meets Brooklyn, Barbie. She becomes Malibu Barbie. That's also a name that kind of sticks on for the other movies as well. And of course the series It Takes Two. And yeah, they just kind of try to make it big in the entertainment industries. So the intro sequence really got me shook. There was this magic happening in my head when I saw the intro, because that really had the old Barbie vibes, like the monotone, aesthetically pleasing sequence, but also already the credits in the front. And that's also something that they did in the older Barbie movies. So I kind of was sad that this was like a dream, but it was a very logical way to start a movie with a daydream. Brooklyn Barbie says ballet saves the day. Makes me only think that they have to make a ballet movie again. So I thought this was a really smart way to introduce Black Barbie, which is kind of this doll that's been parallel with a lot of previous dolls, including movie dolls, but also like the holiday dolls. I don't know a lot about that history. And with her quote of ballet saves the day, now I was already thinking like, is Brooklyn Barbie gonna get her solo movie? I'm now kind of rooting for a solo movie for Brooklyn Barbie. And if that's a ballet movie, I will be watching. I think it's weird that Barbie transports a guitar without a case. It's very impractical, it's very unsafe, it's not very good for the instrument either. And it's not like people won't know what instrument cases look like. So there's also this character called Emily, who is also just a very famous artist. And I was very confused at Barbie, how important it was for Barbie to mention that she has 50 million followers. As you can see, I'm a very big Taylor Swift fan, but I wouldn't know how many Twitter or Instagram followers she has. It's also very irrelevant for the fact that I like Taylor Swift. So that was a little bit, took me out. But that's also just my gripes with the stan culture, I guess. I really liked the Grind on My Mind song. Obviously it's very literal to what was happening on the street, but I've always been thinking like, if I would have like this one song that I would just replay over and over again, then this would have been kind of the song, just about being on that grind non-stop, thinking you always have to be productive. That's kind of just what happens in my brain. I squealed hard at the fall. That looked very bad. The movie could have gone very dark. I'm very happy Brooklyn only just like sprained her ankle. She was like better in 2 days. But for a second, it's like I know there will be happy endings in this franchise. But for a second, I was really worried about what was gonna happen in the movie. I had to laugh at when Barbie was in the office getting blamed that she pushed Brooklyn on purpose. And her quote was, "I'm being sent home to Malibu," as if it's the worst thing that can happen. There's a dancing dog, so that's always minus points. Praise for Alison McDonald, who did the lyrics of this movie. They're very literal, but very Barbie movie fitting. And I just got some trivia from the Barbie fandom wiki, which is that the Handler Academy is very obviously named after Ruth Handler, who created Barbie. And one of the sisters signed off with PACE, which is from the vlogs named Positive Attitudes Changes Everything. So overall, this was also just a very fun movie, very modern Barbie, which if you've seen my other video, which I don't really mind. So I had a lot of fun watching this. The characters were fun. The plotline was fun. These are just like moments that kind of made me realize what I was watching. And obviously you have It Takes Two after this, but I haven't had time to watch that. And I probably won't because, as I said, just too much of Barbie content just fries my brain. I think that's visible in my previous video. Watching too much Barbie just is hard. So then we had Mermaid Power. I had an awful time watching it for the first time. I didn't really follow the story. It was very visual, I feel like. But I was very bored by it. So Mermaid Power is... I'm struggling to explain what Mermaid Power is about. So pretty much around... I think it was every 100 year, this big gold pearl chooses like 8 mermaids to kind of nominate as like a power keeper. There are challenges, there are dolphins, there are the elements. You can be a water mermaid or you're gonna be a fire mermaid. I watched this movie twice and I still don't really know how this movie goes. You know, at the end, it's about environmentalists because they couldn't really do the ritual because of a plastic island floating on the sea. So they kind of had to eliminate that, all the trash. Because humans bad, humans create trash. I know I said that sarcastically, but really make less trash. I also realized how little I remembered from Dolphin Magic because the same characters come back from that movie and kind of it's a continuation of Dolphin Magic. Like it's obvious that Isla comes back, and they also explain about the scientist, but I literally forgot that this was the same scientist as Dolphin Magic. So you can tell my memory didn't serve me well. The funniest thing about this movie, it was just the timing of me watching it, because there's something very funny about watching a submarine falling apart with this very determined scientist. So that was a moment. I had very Wings vibes from the power reveals, because I'm not sure which Wings transformation it was when they get like the little bag and the little emblem on their chest or in their hair. Is it Enchantix? But yeah, just like kind of like finding your moment, finding your power, and then you kind of get gifted this thing. And they got crowns and these wristbands. So yeah, very Wings vibes. It's a very pretty movie. The hair looked great. Isaac really struggled to keep some characters apart, but it's a good practice. And I think it's good that the scientist was going out to kind of promote treating the world better, because her presentation about mermaids was very cringy. So I don't think she will convince the people that mermaids are real. So they are also already changing Brooklyn's voice actress. Amber May was Brooklyn's voice actor for the vlogs and Big City, but for It Takes Two and Mermaid Power, and so on, it's Tatiana Varia, so that's already a change. That was always my gripe with the older movies as well, that there's no continuity with the same characters. Like, it's very clear that Teresa, Nikki would always be there, so why not give them the same voice actors? I can understand that's all just scheduling issues, and you know, children are not gonna care if there's discontinuity when it comes to the characters. So next up we have Barbie Road Trip, and I actually wasn't really looking forward to watching it as soon as I discovered that it's an interactive thing, because I couldn't watch it on TV and I kind of wanted to see everything on TV. And I also didn't know what to really expect from an interactive Barbie movie. I watched Bandersnatch, of course, that's not really comparable, but I expected all the children ones to be a little more boring, but that's not the case. Netflix says it takes 36 minutes to watch this. I've probably spent over 3 hours clicking through watching it. So I'm not sure how much I'm gonna explain what I did. I'm just gonna film and see what I cut out. So the main setup is Barbie and Ken and Skipper are gonna go on a road trip because Skipper has this app matching dogs to new owners. Ken is obviously in love with Barbie, but they are very in this very gray area friends. So meanwhile, the two Barbies have this audition in New York. So the question is, how much effort are you gonna put in to get them to New York? And you know, after watching Bandersnatch, there's also this whole illusion of choice aspect, so I wasn't really sure what's gonna be really there and what's really gonna be variable. So the first time I watched this, they toast on Destiny, they take the express route, they go for Ken's map instead of Skipper's GPS, they go to the campground at Roswell, Barbie and Ken are gonna take the picnic, and then they follow the spooky sound. And then they get abducted by aliens, which was kind of foreshadowed by Chelsea in the beginning. That's technically not an ending, but for me kind of it was, because you get straight to the beginning again. Kind of sad, because I just kind of had to click through what I wanted to watch. But that was a missed opportunity, because I kind of also because I was clear that you kind of have the route to Ken and you have the route to Brooklyn. And I kind of wanted to try a lot of things. So once you get abducted by aliens and you get zapped to the beginning, I kind of followed all the Ken's stuff, but obviously there's already this part that has happened before that. So the destiny was pre-chosen, then I chose the scenic route, then we end up in Dino Park. Choose the fortune that talks about missing opportunities. The campground gets pre-chosen. The picnic, I noticed something already compared to the previous. The first time Ken straight up brings out Barbie's favorites, while this time he first offers this sandwich that Barbie doesn't like, but it's kind of also like a memory thing from their past. So immediately I thought, okay, they are actually like changing very small details. Running back from the sound was pre-chosen. They go with the burrows at the Grand Canyon. And then I chose to go find Ken, where they kind of admit that they like each other. So that was a very cute scene with Barbie dreaming of her life with Ken. I chose that they go to Truffle's new owner, the Shirt Song, which really threw me off because they have acoustic guitars, but they play very electric-y sounding, very short song, which was embarrassing. I cringed with choosing that. And then you have Barbie and Ken in that Ferris wheel, where I chose More Than Friends. And then Run For It, which was when they get stuck in traffic in New York. And that's when they become trees in music video. So then I kind of realized that I didn't really did Ken's choices. So the second time I watched it, I had Dreams, Scenic Route, Dino Park, Fortune Teller, which does mention true love, More Than Friends. And that brings up to a different ending for Skipper, who is gonna try to get investors for the app. Obviously, there wasn't really a choice what I could do to kind of have Ken's options, because you always kind of have Ken saying, oh, let's go to this fun thing, and Brooklyn saying, oh, let's rush to get to New York and do the audition. But then I chose Plan B because Skipper's app wasn't working, and that brings them to a world tour with Jacinda. So at this point I was also like skipping between the choices, because I wasn't gonna watch every scene on their own, but there were moments obviously that new scenes were happening, so I did try to watch those. But very tiny details like the sandwich and Barbie's favorite snacks is one example that I'm not sure if there are more of them that I kind of missed. So then I did all the Brooklyn's choices, the GPS, and that's also kind of like an interesting change, because when they went for the for Ken's map in that scene, Skipper gets 5 out of 5 stars because the dog got delivered perfectly. While with this route, the GPS, they kind of get stuck behind cows. The dog goes out covered in mud. She only gets 3 out of 5 stars. So that's also just a very interesting change. Then they had pancakes, so they end up in Chicago. And since I came back from Chicago, I feel like I've seen Chicago everywhere, which is fun. This time I finally got to see the long song. The amount of times I've seen Flip the Script and heard it is a lot. They do an acoustic version. What I found interesting was when you have those kind of Ken-centric stuff. You know, at the beginning, Ken says, oh, it's only the second best summer. And when you have those Ken-centric moments, those Ken and Barbie scenes, you have this what I think is very sweet when he says, that was the best summer until now. But with a lot of these scenes, he only refers that summer is the best summer and doesn't say anything about this summer. So because of the long song that they play, they go to London, and that's pretty much an ending. So there is an ending if you really get sent back, and they really they really talk to you as if, oh, what if this happens, or what if that happens? So from that moment, I also just kind of went back to some choices. I redid some choices. And at that point, since I kind of went both directions, I really wanted to see as many of the scenes as possible. So when you get the London ending, you go back to the Ferris wheel, and that's where I chose Take It Slow with Ken. then you end up in New York, and then you take the subway, which is a dead end because you just get sent back to the choice of taking a run for it or the subway. Well, you don't really have the subway as a choice. And when you run, you get the job, and Brooklyn and Malibu move to New York. So I saw the majority, so I decided to go back to see kind of the things that I had seen passing by, but that I didn't click. So I kind of wanted to get to those points. So the ghost story, they do the hang glider in the Grand Canyon. Barbie thinks it over. They end up in New Orleans with the 2 dogs, and they end up on the movie set. Obviously, you heard the ghost story in the previous scenes. Then the next time, I just didn't do anything. Netflix pretty much chooses for you. There isn't, from what I've seen, there isn't kind of a moment where the characters like realize that you're not choosing. So a lot of things were just similar. I think I did have some new scenes. Ken's map, but then I got a scene of the Hobbly Road. And this was a new one for me, the choosing the toy. So so that's kind of also like a tease for Barbie and Ken's relationship. Take subway. And that was a very unhinged scene with the last one, with the taking the subway, because obviously previous time we saw that they pretty much got stuck. You get sent back to the caravan. But this time Brooklyn stops both of them, saying that the subway is unreliable, and they have the UFO coming around to zap them to the audition. So I think that's pretty much... So I think you get that scene if you've been transported back to the start, and if you didn't, that you run away from the spooky sounds, you just get the getting stuck on the subway and then having to run for it. So at this point, I kind of thought I had all the options. So I kind of took a peek at the Wikia, and there was this option of Barbie going back to Malibu and Brooklyn making it big on herself. Luckily, I had noted down all the stuff that I already did, so I could just kind of quickly go to the roads to the stuff that I haven't watched yet. So on my 7th watch, I got to the point of where Skipper is in investor room, and then instead of plan B, Skipper restarts the app. And that's where Brooklyn goes solo and Malibu goes back to Malibu to kind of help Skipper with the app. I also made myself go to that breakfast scene where I chose waffles instead of pancakes, which makes Skipper mad. They talk about Ken and talk about the dog sanctuary. So I got to also choose the dog sanctuary, and that ended up being a pug-only sanctuary, so that was funny. And then I kind of like, I undid that choice to select Match Mutts, where you go to Chicago, because in Chicago you still have the 2 pugs that get adopted there. And then in Chicago I chose the peanut scene, where you get the dogs on camera, but also a kiss cam between Barbie and Ken, and that was incredibly awkward. And on my 8th watch, skipping through the movie, I realized that I didn't have the magic show from Vegas yet, so I also took that, but that wasn't very special. And then I undid that so they could go dancing, but then have a big introduction to Jacinda. That was fun, and I think the movie just goes on from there. So that's kind of everything that I did while watching the movie. I got very invested. So obviously, in the ending, not much changes with Jacinda. They get the tree role in the music video, or they are the singers in the music video, or they really go to the world tour. There's not much at stake here. Ken pretty much always remains a friend, but there is not much difference between them being in a relationship and them being friends, because when they were best friends, they were so flirtatious with each other. It doesn't really make that much of a difference. So I feel like anytime Barbie ends up in New York or in London, but Ken still visits her as often as possible. Okay, I had to take a small break because my battery died. I got hungry. No background anymore because I had it propped up on an open mice cage, and I don't think it's smart now as they are waking up to have an open cage. Things I noticed. So there is a Wilhelm scream in Rafa's subway background. I really liked that scene with the guy in the background not being able to catch the subway, and when he does, he forgets his bag. That was just a very humoristic thing. New York looks great. There was a cameo of the taxi driver from Big City, Big Dreams, and I think it's funny that he says make up your mind already because of the position where you have to choose. When you're making a run for it, you see the aliens, but you also see the fortune teller dino, which is a nice callback. One thing I didn't really like is when you get to an ending, you don't play to the end and then complete the choice. Once you click on the start over again, you immediately go back. With the others, there's this dialogue and you just continue to the end. This is probably just like a Netflix thing, but it's kind of sad that I couldn't see the entire dialogue at the end. I know it's just repetitive, talking about, oh, what if? But that would have kind of polished it all up. Talking about polishing, there is a lot of audio glitches on the moments where they transition between important scenes. But again, I guess that's also just like the technology around these choose your own adventure media. I'm not sure about the ethics of this app of matching dogs with their owners without like actually meeting. But of course, that's just a very realistic way of looking at the technology here. It's cute that all the dogs found perfect matches. There is actual bloopers, and but they also do say cut and stuff. So it's like, is it implied that this is also kind of a layer of acting for in the Barbie universe? Because of course, we used to have Barbie playing in movies or telling stories, and those would have bloopers as well. But now Barbie is Barbie and she's a vlogger and just your next door neighbor. But then you have these credits and it's like, how canon are these shots? I do think the credits are cute. I assume that all those little illustrations are production dogs, so I thought that was a fun thing to see. There is this continuation error. Like, I got to the point of Skipper being in this investor room and then Barbie has plan B, and in the video of plan B there's a girl in the wheelchair, but to that point I hadn't even had the sequence where they see that dog. I'm not sure when she appears, but to that point I hadn't seen the girl in the wheelchair matching with her dog. So that's just a very tiny thing. I feel like there are more continuation errors, but I haven't really paid attention to those. Overall, seeing as this is probably also the biggest portion of the video, I was really invested, and this was also pretty much my favorite movie of the bunch, and I want to rewatch it again. Let my boyfriend do the choosing, for example. Just look at them. Maybe I should change the background to that. I didn't really know what to expect from this movie. Like I said, I was not looking forward to it because it just seemed so simple. But I really like the meta humor. Also, Flip the Script is also just about taking paths, choosing ways. I haven't done a lot of these choose your own adventure Netflix things except Bandersnatch and this one. But I was very impressed. I really liked it. Obviously, the rewatch, I pretty much covered almost all of the scenes, but since I can't really put it on the TV, as in casting the movie, I'm not sure when I'm gonna see this again. So then we end with Skipper's babysitting adventure, and I thought I was not interested in Barbie's epic road trip. I was even less interested in this one because babysitting and just children subjects, that's nothing for me. The way I kind of crunch up inside when I hear a baby or a child crying says enough about my feelings towards small humans. Of course, I don't hate them like that dude on the cruise ship does, but this wasn't very much a movie that really interested me. So Skipper's babysitting adventure is really about Skipper. She is pretty much on her own this summer vacation because her sisters are away. Her friends got viral and she lost her job as a babysitter because of annoying babies. So she finds new friends, she finds a job in a water park and kind of develops ideas, manages to babysit there with her new friends. Look at her. I'm just gonna sit like this because you all deserve to see my cute mouse. The intro was fun. They used 2D animation, kind of in an anime style. Props to them for trying out different animation styles. I know I was not happy whenever they changed the animation style with the older Barbie movies, like for example Barbie Diaries or for example Princess Power, but that's pretty much CGI to CGI. Like in Ponytail they used like the mythical story where they used kind of the flat 2D animation, and that's something I really liked. So I could appreciate them using this 2D animation to explain kind of this fictional superhero story. Tammy was very annoying. Look, at the end, Barbie says that Tammy is a good person deep inside, but after her breakdown at the smoothie bar, I really don't get why Joy or Skipper or anyone for that matter would want to work for her in the water park. And that's just my vibe throughout the whole movie. I was just very annoyed. Irresponsible parents, like they would just leave their child unsupervised outside of attractions to go with their older child rather than letting the older child be a little more independent, go for their attractions and wait with the smaller child. So I was just very turned off by this movie. But obviously this movie doesn't really put adults in good light, but that's just a children's thing. That's not me criticizing. But that's just children's movie in general, right? There was a Nutcracker appearance. I saw multiple Nutcrackers throughout this smaller movie marathon. I think also in Dreamhouse Adventures when they were packing or unpacking. And I think in Princess Adventure as well. In one other movie there was, in Mermaid Power, there was kind of like this Ariel Scroto thing, and there was also a Nutcracker. So I really appreciate them kind of remembering where they come from. You know, like I said, at this point, I just feel watching a bunch of Barbie movies behind each other just kind of mushes up your brain. The dialogue, the songs, the visuals, they all just kind of merge into one. So this is kind of also the movie that I didn't pay a lot of attention to. And obviously after kind of watching Epic Road Trip like 8 times, or at least spending 3 hours on a 30-minute special, this is kind of underwhelming compared to that. And at the end they were also teasing Stacy's movie. I'm not sure when Skipper's Babysitting Adventure came out, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's one of the upcoming releases. I haven't really looked at what Barbie, the animated part, kind of movies are releasing in the upcoming years. Obviously, I feel like the live action is their big star right now, but I'm not sure how child-friendly that's gonna be. So around these movies, there are also a lot of other media, as like the Barbie vlogs, that, like I said in the previous video, that's kind of the point where I don't really follow Barbie media anymore. There is Dreamtopia. Like I said, I was planning to watch everything from the last few years, but Dreamtopia is really aimed for children. Like, we kind of tend to say that a lot of things are for children, but adults can also watch it. A lot of people hang on to Barbie movies, and that's all right. But I feel like this was really aimed for very small children. It's also on YouTube Kids. I was also a little confused because there is Festival of Fun, which is kind of marketed as a movie, but from what I read, it's also just consisting of multiple episodes or segments, but I also couldn't find the movie. So I was not sure if I was looking at the right stuff. It has so many episodes, and already after like 10 minutes, I just couldn't handle it anymore. So that's kind of how far I got. It's cool to see Chelsea and possibly the other sisters also just kind of getting their own spotlight, though I don't really care for them. I really like the dynamic of having them all with Barbie. Dreamhouse Adventures, I also watched a few episodes, but again, they all just merge into one. It's pretty much an extended vlog. And Barbie is clearly a teenager. Her parents are also there. And a lot of things that I noted down were similar to the stuff that I said about Princess Adventure. So you have It Takes Two as well. That's where really the two Barbies are hanging out together. And there is Team Roberts, I assume, about the sisters and Barbie dynamic, but also I'm not gonna watch that. I feel perfectly content with the movies because one, they have just a longer plot line, and two, I just don't have a lot of time anymore. So the conclusion that I really have, I don't really have them. I just really wanted to talk about each movie on their own. But it's fun to being caught up with the Barbie movies again. They're still fun. They are really now era appropriate, I guess. They really fit in this age with the vlogging and dances and influencers. Like I said in a previous video, that does make everything very dated. But that's also just also accepting the fact that this is just how Barbie is now. I clearly have a few movies that I really liked and some that I don't. If you ask me to rank the 6 of them, Road Trip is on the top, followed by Big City, Big Dreams. I think those two are just like thinking about new Barbie movies, the best movies that have come out. Princess Adventure was fun and entertaining, but kind of throwing me off because I hadn't watched Barbie in a long time. And then we have Lost Birthday, Babysitting, and Mermaid Power. They're kind of like merged into one. I feel like Lost Birthday was a little more tolerable because it's really like a journey of Chelsea's self-discovery and meeting friends. And I feel like for younger children that's even more fun. But the Babysitting and the Mermaid Power I could do without. I don't know where I would fit them in the total ranking. I feel like Epic Road Trip has like a chance of getting into the top 15. Maybe not even there, maybe top 20. It's like I don't know my ranking from the previous video. At this point, tier list rankings make way more sense when it comes to these kind of rankings. But Epic Road Trip I would say, for me personally, Epic Road Trip is one that I would consider a very fun movie. While the Big City, Big Dreams would be there with like Rock and Royals vibe. I really liked Rock and Royals as one of the newer Barbie movies. I think Big City, Big Dreams is also there. So that's the new 6 Barbie movies and my opinion on them. Thank you for watching. If you really liked the previous video and that you watched it, there's a small percentage that watched all 2 hours. I commend you. I got these mice like 2 days ago and I love them so much. They are so cute. The group dynamic is so fun. So in less than 2 weeks, the Barbie movie comes out. I already got my movie ticket because I feel like this is really one of those word-to-mouth fun summer movies. And like I said in the last video, I predicted that it was gonna go for the box office. And obviously now with the memes of Barbie versus Oppenheimer, it's definitely a movie for the summer. The cast looks great. I've been avoiding teasers and trailers. That's something I've been doing the last few years to just kind of not set expectations at all. And that's why I also was not sure about making this video, because I've been consuming movies just like fast food. I just watch them and I like it or I don't, and I move on to my day. Like, I do read discussions on Reddit, but I'm very bad at forming my own opinions. At this point, I also don't know if I want to make a Barbie movie review video, because I don't see my reviews aren't that elaborate or good. It would really have to depend on this video, and if people really want to know my opinion on that movie, maybe I will make it if I really love it. I have some ideas what I would do and say if I have something to say about that movie. But overall, I don't know anything about it. Of course, I know the plot from years ago, but I'm not sure how much they changed it. I look forward to Greta Gerwig being the director. I haven't seen any of her stuff, but I've heard great stuff about it. I really expect some life in the dream house kind of humor. I think I've only seen the teaser trailer, and I think that was enough to kind of calm me down on my predictions or my worries about this movie, because they put Margot Robbie in the vintage black and white bathing suits. That made me very happy, so I think I'm gonna enjoy it. I want it to be everything I ever wanted from a Barbie movie, or a modern Barbie movie, or a real or a live action Barbie movie. I'm not gonna put on expectations, but that's pretty much all I have to say right now for the live action Barbie movie, because I just simply haven't seen enough of it. Predictions again for animated live action movies. I think this is kind of the tone they will continue with. I feel like Stacey has already teased her own movie, so I feel like that. If it's a sports movie, I would really like that. And like I said, I feel like Brooklyn Barbie starring in her own ballet movie and then having kind of the old school Barbie animation. Like, I would eat that shit up. I don't know that much ballets. Giselle is the first one that comes in mind. Brooklyn Barbie doing Giselle. Like, imagine if Brooklyn Barbie has a story that she's gonna tell Barbie, and then Barbie becomes kind of this person who needs encouragement, and then you have this whole fictional story with Brooklyn as the main character. Like, that's something I want to see. But again, I don't think that's gonna happen. Like, Malibu Barbie is still kind of the front, the main character in this franchise. But I think the introduction of Brooklyn Barbie was pretty awesome. So I really like that. So I think that's all I have to say right now about the state of Barbie movies. I'm sorry if I didn't go in depth enough. I don't think my previous video did as much. I feel like I went a little more into depth compared to the previous video. I was for sure not gonna sit down and film myself watching the movies. You can go to Liam Thompson's channel for that. But I hope this was an enjoyable video. So thank you very much for watching. And if you've subscribed because of the previous video, I hope this satisfied you. And I hope you stick around for the next few uploads. I'm not sure what I'm gonna upload, but this one's for you.